Hello and welcome to the PC Security 101 tutorial. In this chapter, we will be talking about the different types of threats and the risks that you face as a typical Windows PC user. The goal of this chapter is to help you be more aware of what can happen, how vulnerable your PC might be, what you stand to lose, and what it takes to recover if you get hit. As you progress through future chapters, you'll get more detailed how-tos for actually configuring your PC to help protect against these threats, and it will all start to tie together for you. I'll assign ratings so that you know how critical each threat may be and how directly it may affect you. I will also compare how those threats may be reduced after implementing the security steps in this system. For all rankings, I'll assume we are working with a fresh installation of Windows 7 that has not been configured to further improve security. Basically what you would expect with any new Windows PC from most manufacturers. I'll also assume that the PC is being used by a typical family of 2 or more people, including young adults or teens. If you've already taken steps to tighten your security, or if you are the only person that uses your PC, then the risk ratings and levels that I've assigned might be a bit aggressive. A bit more about the rating system. The first rating is likelihood. This rating is fairly self-explanatory. This rating is designed to let you know how likely it is that a particular threat could affect your PC or data. The likelihood rating range includes almost impossible, unlikely, probable, and certain. The next rating is impact. I'll rate how each intrusion or breach may impact you. This is somewhat subjective, of course, and will depend on how important your data is to you, how possible it is for you to easily recover or recreate the files that you may have lost, how damaging it may be to you or your business if sensitive information finds its way in the hands of someone you don't trust, and how much lost productivity results. The impact rating range includes little or none, minimal, moderate, and catastrophic. The third rating is resolution. Resolution would include the complexity and the cost or time needed to get your PC and system back to a 100% working state. A simple resolution might be simply understanding what not to do in the future or making small adjustments on your part. Other situations may require simple configuration changes or tweaks. More severe problems may mean data or applications were affected and need to be recovered from a backup or maybe need to be reinstalled. Finally, some instances will require that you rebuild the PC from scratch or replace it and rebuild everything. The resolution range includes no action needed, simple changes needed, some recovery needed, or replace and rebuild. These 3 categories and risk ratings should give you a tool for assessing what each potential problem means to you and therefore how important it is that you take additional security measures now to avoid them. Let's jump right into a review of security issues that you may encounter. My PC was stolen. Let's start with the worst case scenario and consider what happens if your PC is stolen. Everyone understands what having your PC stolen means, right? Well, maybe not. Few realize how much information is stored on their PC until it's gone and they have to think it through. If unprotected, a thief can view all of your documents, your letters, email, financial and banking history, and other important documentation that you store there. If you set up automated procedures within Quicken or MS Money without proper protection, it may be possible for a thief to connect to the internet and conduct business as you. Consider what someone might do with all the information they find, including your banking records, phone records, email contacts, online shopping history and information, family or business photos, and a wealth of other personal, business, or financial information they may find. Bottom line here is, theft of a modern-day internet-connected PC can be a huge problem. In fact, many industries are required by law to report when a PC or laptop is missing for exactly these reasons. Do you feel safe because you use a good Windows login password for all of your users? Well, think again, because even so, you are completely unprotected against theft. Windows passwords are only valid when the hard drive is installed in your PC under normal working conditions. All a thief has to do is remove the hard drive from your PC and attach it to his PC. It takes a screwdriver and about 2 minutes of his time. He simply logs onto his PC, which gives him full access to all of your data. Another thing to consider is having your system repaired. Be wary of leaving your PC with any computer repair company that you may not trust. Understand that anyone with access to your PC while in their repair shop can view all the data that it contains. If your desktop PC is at home under normal, typical conditions, then a home burglary is relatively unlikely. If you're a student in a dorm or use a laptop in travel, for example, then of course theft is far more likely, which is why I included the probable risk. Impact and resolution ratings are high because you now have to replace your PC, replace your software, your important data, and all the intellectual property it contained. I rated impact as minimal after implementing all recommended security steps because although you would still have to replace your PC and software, your critical data would be protected from the would-be thief and simple recovery procedures would be in place. Who's been using my PC? Ever find out that someone was using your PC that you probably wouldn't have approved of? Unauthorized user access isn't as rare as you might think. Although it may be unlikely that anyone outside of your close family and friends gains access to your PC, even trusted individuals can cause problems for unprotected systems. And how can you be sure that neighbors or your child's school buddies aren't on your PC when they visit? Whose account and password are they using? Anyone could easily delete or overwrite important files stored on your hard drive. Others are also far more likely not to follow good user behavior rules like you do and may attract a virus or other malware. As the primary PC user, you are aware of its value and the critical nature of the information on it. Others may just see it as a toy or a place to play games or browse the internet. Any risk mitigation starts with understanding the lowest common denominator. In future chapters, we'll review user account levels, file system security, and even data encryption to address these threats. After implementing the steps in this system, ratings regarding unauthorized users are much lower because your data is safe regardless of who is on the keyboard. I have a computer virus. Encountering some form of, quote, malware is a very common thing for any internet-connected Windows PC. These are small programs that find their way onto your system and then run in the background doing a variety of harmful and malicious things. Because they come from outside of your network and run on your PC, one way to think about them is like having a bad guy accessing your home PC from the outside. Malware is a general term covering a variety of threats including rootkits, worms, Trojan horses, spyware, adware, and keyloggers, to name a few, all commonly known as computer viruses. The damage they do can range from altering your PC in a way that simply annoys you to allowing complete access to your information. Some are designed to run on your PC and attack other PCs, making your computer the, quote, source of the problem. A rootkit is designed to take over the core administrative authority on your PC. In effect, once a rootkit has done its work, it can do just about anything it wants. Spyware is designed to hide in your system while sending information about your use or behavior to some outside source. Adware will infect your PC and then annoy you with advertising or corrupt your internet browser to take you to sites that you did not request. Keyloggers are a category of malware that monitor your keyboard activity and transmit everything you type to the bad guys. This means they get your passwords and everything else you key in. Understanding how these work and what they do to circumvent built-in Windows security is a science of its own and goes far beyond the scope of this system. But it's very important that you're aware they exist, how they choose their victims, and what damage they can inflict. At all times on the internet, there are untold numbers of computers running programs that search out PCs with substandard security to exploit. Most are running around the clock. Many of them will infect your PC and then lay dormant so that the owner has no clue that they're there. Soon they become part of a virus network, quietly communicating with their peers to build an army of harmful systems. These literally number in the millions. In fact, when a new PC comes up onto the internet for the first time, within seconds it's being scanned by systems like these looking for holes in its security profile. If your PC is internet connected, rest assured that it's visited many times a day by these types of internet bad guys without your knowledge. If properly protected, these visits are relatively harmless. If not, you could encounter significant trouble. What the internet bad guy needs in most cases is your help. The quickest way in is for you to click on a dangerous link, download a dangerous file, or visit an unsafe website. These are the most common methods used to get malware onto your system. Their effectiveness to wreak havoc once inside will depend on the level of protection you've configured with your firewall, your passwords, the file system security you're using, and whether you use encryption or not. Your antivirus and anti-spyware software must always be running on your PC so it can be there to do the job it needs to do, watching all activity. If it detects a known malware signature, it will warn you. However, this protection is only effective if your software is current and its updates are fresh. Antivirus and anti-spyware software will contact its servers and download updates with the latest virus information at least on a daily basis. These updates to your security software are critical. You should be aware of the condition known as a zero-hour event. A zero-hour event is when you get hit by some form of malware, even when protected by your antivirus and anti-spyware software. Zero hour refers to the time between the discovery of a new malware program on the internet and when the antivirus companies can find a solution, update their files, and then your PC can download and install the new updates. Obviously, until you update your PC, you're at risk for that particular new zero-hour virus. Very few malware attacks will leave your PC working normally. If you notice that your PC suddenly slows down dramatically, if you are suddenly receiving messages that you haven't seen before, if your internet browser homepage changes by itself, or if you cannot operate all of the normal tools that you use, such as the Windows control panel, your antivirus software, or your spyware software configuration, then it's likely that you've been infected. Most malware will alter the tools that you normally use to identify and get rid of unwanted software. Of course, we will be discussing the best practices to protect against these threats in future chapters. Unauthorized Remote Desktop. Remote Desktop is a tool built into Windows that allows you to take over control of another Windows PC as if you were sitting in front of it. You run Remote Desktop, enter a target PC address, and log in. You're now running the Remote Desktop as if it were your PC, and you have full access to its capability. It's designed for remote support so that problems can be resolved without visiting the physical PC. Remote Desktop does force you to use passwords for all user accounts used to connect remotely, so there is a sliver of security built in. However, many passwords are easily guessed, particularly by someone that knows you or your family. Also, there are hacks around the standard user login that may allow unauthorized remote desktop sessions. Although this tool can be very powerful and useful, if you do not need to use this capability, it should be disabled. If it is required, there are a few ways you can make it more secure, and these methods will be reviewed later in this series. I've been phished. Phishing is a term given by the industry for a process where someone attempts to acquire sensitive information such as usernames, passwords, or credit card details, by masquerading as a trustworthy website or email sender. You may receive an email or an instant message from a popular social website, an auction site, an online payment processor like PayPal, or someone who claims to be an IT administrator to lure you in. Once you get this phishing message and believe it's legitimate, you will be directed back to a website that looks very official where you'll be asked to provide sensitive information. This can also be done via email requests that you reply to. These are very dangerous examples of internet fraud. Most will ask you for financial details, social security numbers, and other confidential information in order to launch some type of fraud or identity theft against you. As a rule, if you're ever asked to provide any personal or financial information via email, do not comply. Email is an unsecured method of communication, and anyone on the internet could potentially look at your messages. If you receive a link to a website, you should always look at the link very closely. Make sure that in fact it is the actual link to the legitimate website. Hackers are very slick when they create these fake links, so they look very much like the originals. A better way to protect yourself is to type in the website address yourself, or go to your favorites and visit the site that you've done business with before, rather than relying on the link provided that may be suspect. If you receive emails, you can always call the institution and ask if it's legitimate. Another maybe less dangerous type of phishing is the respond and confirm type. When you receive an email from one of these sources, all you have to do is click on any of the links contained in that email, and it will send a confirmation back to the sender that you in fact exist. In fact, you may notice that by default, Microsoft Outlook will not download pictures and graphics in an email unless you allow it to. This is because when you open an email, some graphic content will contact the sender website to pull that picture in, which effectively says to them, "I'm here," and confirms that you exist. Unwanted or other harmful email known as spam is simply pulling from vast lists of email addresses and in many cases is guessing that you exist. Any activity on your part with these emails simply confirms that you are there to receive more junk in the future. Best practice is that you leave email security settings alone and do not allow images to download without your approval. Also, that you delete unknown or unwanted email before you open it or preview it. Firewall breach. A firewall could be a software or hardware device, or you could have both. Most networks will have a hardware firewall device on the perimeter of their network to protect their internal equipment. What is a firewall? Whether hardware or software, a firewall is basically a very smart network device split into two sections. One side of the firewall connects to all the internal PCs, while the other side connects to the internet and the outside world. In between are a set of rules and protections that filter what can pass back and forth, thus protecting the internal network and your PCs from unwanted activity. General best practice recommendations for networks with hardware firewalls say that you should lock down each port only to allow necessary traffic. Further technical discussion about hardware firewalls is beyond the scope of this system, while the basic premise of locking them down applies. Windows 7 comes with a software firewall built in that can be configured by you. It will block access to many existing threats and will only allow functions that you allow to pass from your PC and network to beyond and the outside internet. It sits between your PC operating system and the outside world, acting as a traffic cop, watching everything that goes in or out of your computer. A firewall breach includes any malicious activity in which the safeguards in place with your firewall are circumvented. Unfortunately, since firewalls are so common, they are also very well known by the hackers, who know how to get around them in many of their protections. What's important is that you know what a firewall is, how important it is, and that it must be in place and running at all times. Whenever you install a new piece of hardware or software that needs to communicate to the outside world, the installation program that comes with it may make changes to your firewall configuration. One example might be a program that regularly checks for software updates like your antivirus software. Most times these changes are automatic and not known to the user. It is possible to reverse these changes and further secure your PC. However, that involves in-depth knowledge of your system and firewall. Just be aware that firewall changes can be made by your software programs without notifying you. We will cover the Windows firewall later in this program. In many cases, your DSL or cable modem can act as a hardware firewall for your PC or anything that's connected to them on your network. The DSL modem is typically provided by your phone company, while a cable modem comes from your cable provider. What you have depends on whether you subscribe to the internet access services from your phone company or your cable company. In most cases, cable modems are configured by your cable company and cannot be configured by you. Even so, I would advise that you make a quick support call to your cable provider and let them know that PC security is important to you, and ask them what can be done to ensure that your cable modem is properly locked down. Most DSL modems from your phone company can be accessed by you, and later in the program we will take a look at how to make sure you're safe. Wireless router breach. If you have a wireless laptop or other wireless devices on your network, then you must have a wireless router as well. The wireless router is a piece of equipment with connections for network cables and antennas for transmitting to your wireless laptop. Much like your DSL or cable modem, your wireless router presents an entry point into your home or your small business network. With wireless, the way in is through wireless transmission, which means the bad guy can be anywhere near your home or small business. Wireless routers are particularly risky because they advertise themselves over the air to everyone within a few hundred feet. There are two primary reasons for having a wireless router on the premises. One is so that you can attach to the network and access resources of the internet with your laptop computer. Another is to provide Wi-Fi or wireless services for others with laptops in your home or office. To serve others, it is best to configure and attach this wireless router to your internet modem as a separate network not connected to your personal computers. This way, one network has your personal traffic on it, and another is for everyone else so your personal data is not exposed. Details behind this type of multi-network design go beyond the scope of this program, but it is important that you understand the concepts. It is very common for hackers to scan neighborhoods and business locations for reception from wireless routers. When they find a wireless router that is not secure, they can quickly jump onto your network. From there, they could attempt to access your PC, or at the very least, hop onto your internet connection for their own purposes. Once connected to your internet service, They could, for instance, visit an adult website and download content and make it appear that it was coming from your home PC. This type of internet hijacking is common. Your wireless router is available to your neighbors all around your home for hundreds of feet. If it's left unsecure, they could jump onto your connection and surf the internet. Who's been reading my email? You may notice that the risk ratings above do not improve after securing your PC using this system. As a private user, there's really no way to ensure that your email, instant messages, and web browsing experience are completely safe. It's important to make sure that you're aware of the nature of those communications across the public internet so that you can make the appropriate choices. The term personal communications includes many types of computer interactions like email, instant messaging, voice calls, video calls, and general internet web surfing. All internet users need to adopt a mindset that anything they type in an email, in an instant message, anything they communicate via voice or video, and in most cases all the clicks on your websites are completely unprotected, open to the public, and available for anyone to see. Moreover, it's important to understand that information transmitted using each of these methods may not go away just because you finish your work. Most email systems, instant messaging systems, and web systems are owned by companies who have rules, regulations, and sometimes advertising needs, which means that they retain much of the information moving through their systems. A typical email that leaves your PC will move from corporate server to server, spanning many systems until it reaches its destination. Each of these, quote, hops may retain a copy of your message. The same thing applies to instant messaging, voice, and video programs. Companies often back up these systems for recovery purposes, which means they may save your messages for years to come. Although some of these systems are tightly controlled and secured, many are not. It's important for you to understand and adopt the mindset that whatever you do on the web is visible to all. Of course, legitimate websites where you shop or conduct financial services will secure your information. You will see an icon that looks like a padlock on your internet browser whenever conducting secure business. If you're on a website entering sensitive information and you don't see that lock on your web browser, or your address to your website doesn't start with https:// with the S for secure, then you should not continue. Just remember that without the lock on, you're wide open for all to see. Avoiding unnecessary exposure with typical day-to-day internet use is one of the most critical behavior skills that you need to learn and follow at all times. There are entire technologies in a growing industry under the umbrella of business intelligence dedicated to analyzing your clicks and web browsing activity. Corporations and government entities develop these kinds of tools to enhance their marketing abilities, and for the most part they are not problematic. Knowledge is power though, and since you are probably a very active PC and internet user, it's important to understand the community that you operate in. How do I recover? Throughout this review, a recurring theme mentioned time and time again deals with the concept of recovering lost or damaged data or rebuilding your PC from scratch, depending on the severity of the problem that you may encounter. Recovery could mean as little as making a few tweaks to your configuration to better protect you. It could mean recovering a lost file from a backup copy. It might mean reinstalling a software program, or in the worst case scenario, it could mean a complete rebuild of Windows 7, reinstallation of your programs, and recovery of all your documents, photos, videos, and emails. A daunting task for anyone to be sure. Once damage or loss has occurred, and it will happen eventually either by accident, by a virus, or some form of hardware failure, recovery of some type is the only way to move forward. So it's important for you to put some thought into the different kinds of safety nets available now. Certainly anyone should take backup copies of their most important data on a regular basis. Do you? The next important safeguard is to be able to recover your Windows 7 operating system in the state that it was in before your loss. Trust me, after you customize everything on your PC to look, feel, and operate the way that you like it, you will not find a brand new out-of-the-box fresh installation of Windows to be a very welcome guest. Later in this series, we will cover your options for protecting data, recovering data, and for recovering your operating system in its fully customized state. By this point in our presentation, you're probably starting to see a pattern here that makes you, the PC user, the most important security guard that you could possibly have at work to protect your PC, its important data, and your intellectual property. Let's go back to the graphic I showed you from the series introduction. It's so true that you are the best remedy for keeping your PC safe. Understanding the risks, understanding what to do and what not to do, and knowing the importance of taking the time to implement the steps coming up are half the battle. This concludes the PC Security 101 segment. Next up, we will begin the basic level modifications to your Windows 7 PC. See you then.